G'day YouTube, this is Alex from Automatrix AI. Today we're going to connect a Flask app, so a custom GPT, to Make. It will create a lead and upload that information to a Google Sheet. So here we are in Replit. This is a Replit that you'll be able to fork. I'll leave the description down below. So within this Replit we have a Start the Flask app, initialize OpenAI, create the assistant with files, and then the parameters for the assistant, and then go through, run the code to create the assistant, and then create the assistant ID in a JSON file. And then this is the chat endpoint. It goes through, loads the assistant, loads the thread ID. If no thread ID, it'll create a new thread. And then it will dump the thread ID into another JSON file. It'll go through, create the run for the assistant, and then it'll go through the retrieval process. So while true, it'll create the run, retrieve. If completed, it'll print the response. If it requires action, it'll go through and create the lead. So create the lead is the function that we'll be creating today. So within this function, I've created just a simple little function with your full name, phone number, and email, just the simple parameters to explain what's required, and then the webhook URL. So to obtain the webhook URL, we'll have to come over to Make, and then create a new scenario. So let's create a new webhook. So search for a webhook, and then create custom webhook. Create a new webhook. Let's call this Sales Assistant GPT. So that will give you a URL that you can use. So we'll just go ahead and copy that URL, come back over into Replit, and then paste that URL into that webhook URL. So it's sitting there waiting for information. So what we'll do, we'll sit there and run the Flask app. So we'll successfully run the Flask app. So if anyone was following my video last time, I created the assistant using Postman. We'll just go back into Postman. So you get your URL. So copy your URL over here, go back into Postman, input your URL at the top there with create assistant as the endpoint. So name the assistant. So I created an assistant called SalesBot with some files. It's just an essential oil knowledge base for a client of mine. And then so we'll just go create the assistant. It will create the assistant in the background with the assistant ID. So what that's done now is just created an assistant file with the assistant file, or with the assistant ID. So then we can come back into Postman and we can chat with it if you like. So I won't do that just yet because I will show you something else. So sorry, yes, I will just quickly chat with that. So I can, so go Jane Smith, test.com. So we'll send that to the back end. So we'll come back over into the back end. So open up a console, make the console bigger. So as you can see, it's running through its process, its run IDs, its thread ID, going through the tool output posts. It's figured out that it required to use a function. It will be using the create lead function in the background. So it's just waiting for the assistant to process. And then as you can see, thank you for providing your information, Jane Smith. I've successfully added your details to our system. So as you can come back over into our into Make, it will say successfully determined. So that means the data has been successfully sent over here to Make. So now we can create just a simple Google Sheet module. So Google Sheets. So you can either add rows or you can update a row. I prefer to add a row so you can continuously capture the information. So I've already got my connection already sorted out, but if you just need to, you just go through add and add a connection and connect to your Google account. Then go through, select your drive, and then select the spreadsheet that you would like, and then we'll just go into new customer lead, which has just got a simple sheet. I'm just using an older sheet, so we use the full name, phone number, and just the email address. I won't worry about the type of business, and that will do. So that now is a simple webhook that will capture the information from that sales assistant and upload it into a Google Sheet. So as you can see, I forgot to save it, so I'll just quickly save that scenario. So we'll just turn that scenario on, and we can go back into the Replit. So now that you have everything running in the background with a simple function to create a lead, we can come over into BotPress. So BotPress is just a simple platform to build nice little chatbots. So first off, just start with a simple little node. This is the first node that comes with a new template called Add Stuff Here. So just a simple little welcome message. So I have how can I help you today as a workflow message. So you have to create a variable with the message and a response. So the message, the workflow message, is the message that will be sent to the back end. So that will be, I'll show you within this code here. So this is a URL, a post request to your back end. So again, we'll come back over to the Replit, go back into the web view, get your URL. So copy and paste there with the chat endpoint. So as you can see, the message that's being sent is the data out of workflow message. It'll be sent across, cleaned up as a response to remove any JSON and all that, and then the cleaned response will be workflow.response. So you have to create another variable called response, and then once it runs through the code, it will create, you have to create another text input, and then that text input, you just nominate that variable, workflow.response, and then once the response from the API, that will show the response. So, and then just a simple little node, have you got another question? So we'll just quickly run through this. So, hi. So how can I help you today? This, you can set up a conversational flow to however you want to use your ChatGPT assistant. As the function is just to create a lead, so I'll just do something simple. So I'll just go Alex Jones, and then I'll just go testing.com. So that will now send a message off to our back end. So as you can come back into the back end again, so as you can see, the back end is working. So it's created another run, and then it's using that function. See, function calling, using that function that we just created, create a lead, and then it's grabbed that information, the full name, number, and email, and is sending across to Make in the background, and then that information will be uploaded onto Google Sheets. And you just captured your first lead with a Assistant GPT. So again, thank you, Alex Jones. Your details have been entered into our system. So you can come back over to Make, and you'll be able to successfully see that that was just successfully run. So as you can see, it's been success. So we can go and check Google Sheets if we have a quick gander at Google Sheets. So come over to Google Sheets, wherever you've created that information, and then as you can see, it's created that last just right there. This is an old spreadsheet I've just used many a times just to test different things, so that's why it's just highlighted at the moment. But as you can see, that Make Webhook was just adding a row to the end of the table, so that was just an old, don't know why that's not deleted for some reason. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, it was successfully uploaded into Google Sheet. So that was just a simple little function that you can use, and that was a webhook into Make. So pretty much it understands webhooks very easily. So as long as you define the parameters and exactly what you're trying to achieve with the assistant, the assistant's pretty well smart enough to figure out what you can really use in the different tools that it will use, and then you end up defining it in the tools list anyway. So as you can see in this tools list, sorry, that's one thing I didn't run through was this tools list. So the tools list is like the schema that the assistant will understand and understand what function and what the actual function does. So as you can see, I've just got code, interpreter, and retrieval up there. They're just two main things I always run on just about every assistant. And then here you are like creating your own function. So you're creating a type, which is a function, and then the function parameters with its name, so create lead, and then the description of the function, which was create a lead and send the data to a webhook. And then you have to go through and define the actual parameters, so either an object, or if it's a string, or if it's an array, or anything like that. And then see it has different properties, so like the full name, the phone number, the email, and webhook URL. These schemas and these tools lists, ChatGPT understands very easily. So if you actually create a function, you can actually just go into ChatGPT if you don't understand how to create a tools list. Literally just copy and paste your function and say, can you create a tools list schema? And it will understand what you mean and will actually create the tools list. So we've created the assistant with a function. You can now go ahead and use that anywhere you like. And then again, back in BotPress, you can go ahead and publish that bot, and then you can get, like, you've just created your own little chatbot that you can then go ahead and publish it and then embed onto your own website. As you can see, there you go, it's a complete chatbot. So if anyone needs to know how to embed this into their website, so if you come back over to your main interface in BotPress, in the integration section, which will be in Browsing Hub, you just choose your web chat, and then it'll give you either a pre-configured URL, so that URL there you can use to send to people, show clients or other people your chatbots. And then you can do a simple method to embed onto your website just using this simple little script here. You just set up a HTML input with 2 div containers and then input this script in between. Or a more configurable one, which is, this is including all your, like, the theme and the style sheets and everything like that. You can go into your style sheets by coming down into your style sheet here and then actually going into your style sheet. Then you have a simple little style your bot here, or a more advanced one that anyone understands CSS. There's a few little templates online that you can copy and paste. but it's probably easier if you just style it yourself, because then you can get more of the feel and understanding of how to style your own chatbot. And then go ahead and then fill out all your information for your bots and stuff like that, like the avatar URL, the description of it, and then if you want to change the composer placeholder, usually you have, like, say, type something here, or chat with bot, and then go ahead and put your name in here. And back into Replit, this Replit will be available to everyone. I'll make this publicly available, so you can just go ahead and find the description down below in YouTube, and then copy and paste the URL and go straight into Replit, and you'll be able to fork this Replit. So again, that will this Replit has create an assistant and a chat endpoint, and then any functions or anything like that you're going to add to this, you're going to have to add the functions into this section. So what that section is pretty much the wait for the assistant, the while loop, and then if the action requires action, that's when it goes through that action loop, and that's where you have to add in custom functions. Custom functions are very hard sometimes to implement, and especially with the tools list, you need to make sure everything works. At Automatrix AI, we have a couple of different programmers that can give you a hand if you need to do any custom functions. We've done a few different custom functions. I'm actually integrating a Shopify API at the moment, so we'll be able to request live data from Shopify and show it within the chatbot, and the Assistant GPT will have access to live Shopify data. So it's just something to look out for, and I'll be creating that over the next couple of days. Alright guys, well, it's been a pleasure once again, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the video. Cheers. Thanks guys.